It's been 3 years since the president launched the economic stimulus program. Our area's seen a lot of money.
In fact, it's still coming in, but was it well spent? Did it work? We sent Target 11 investigator Rick Earl out to investigate the impact of stimulus funds. Rick?
Well, Peggy, supporters say it's been well worth every cent, but critics contend it hasn't delivered the bang for the buck. We were surprised to see that the money is still flowing into some communities. These brand new energy efficient lights will soon be going up in the city county building thanks to a federal stimulus grant.
It's an investment of $3 million up front, but long term, we're going to realize a significant amount of savings in terms of our energy consumption.
Mayor Luke Ravenstahl says the city received about $20 million in stimulus cash.
And it's been very, very important. Money that if we didn't have, we wouldn't have put people to work.
And here's exactly how some of it was spent in our area. One of the biggest recipients locally, the University of Pittsburgh, $317 million. A lot of that money went to research studies like immune escape in human cancer. CMU got $41 million for studies such as innovating supercomputing molecular dynamics. The Pittsburgh School District received $71 million. The Allegheny Institute's Eric Montardi says that money delayed the inevitable.
Now we see that just put off basically what has become the day of reckoning for the state budget and the fiscal condition of school districts.
And perhaps the most controversial project in our area, the North Shore Connector, received $63 million. Ironically, that's the same deficit now facing the Port Authority.
How are we going to explain to our riders and taxpayers that we're broke, can't run the buses, going to cut service, lay people off, and here's a new expansion of our system?
Montardi contends the stimulus program failed to deliver. He points to an unemployment rate that hovered around 7% before and after stimulus. And while the state received $33 billion in stimulus money, it created or saved 136,000 jobs. The cost per job, $242,647.
I think on those measures, when I think unemployment rate and then cost per job, you'd have to be much more on the skeptical side.
Do you think it's done what it was supposed to do?
Absolutely.
But supporters like Energy Secretary Stephen Chu say it worked, citing the automobile industry as a prime example.
It was a good decision. The stimulus money, the loan program for Ford. I mean, Ford is making fabulous cars. GM and Chrysler, they're back.
Now, in most cases, stimulus funding was allocated for specific projects. So, for instance, the Port Authority had no choice but to use the money for the North Shore Connector. On our website, we have posted a link to the top stimulus projects in our area so you can see exactly what your money paid for. Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.
Your thought is with federal money involved that money wouldn't be an issue and you would be paid?
But that hasn't been the case. Target 11 discovers contractors doing work for a company that received millions of taxpayer money have not been paid. And now the program designed to create jobs is actually causing layoffs.
Target 11 investigator Rick Earl has been digging into this story for days now, and what he discovered has now launched a federal investigation. So, Rick, what's going on here?
Well, David, this is quite a mess. The contractors tell me they never expected any of these problems because this was frankly part of the Stimulus Recovery Act plan. But months after finishing that project, they're still owed more than $500,000. And after we started asking questions, the feds did too. In these clean rooms, workers at PowerX in Youngwood make semiconductors for electric cars and other energy systems. Last year, the company completed a major expansion with the help of a $6 million federal stimulus grant. But 7 months later, some of the contractors who did that work still haven't been paid. How much are you owed?
$454,000.
It's almost $500,000 you guys are out.
Yes, sir.
Brad Gepfert owns Fayette Plumbing and Mechanical Services in Coraopolis.
It's been very difficult. We're making it, but it's been a challenge.
Gepfert was one of 4 subcontractors hired by the Southside company HWI Global to do the work at PowerX. PowerX paid HWI with that taxpayer-funded stimulus grant, but the money never made it to the subcontractors.
Your thought is with federal money involved that money wouldn't be an issue and you would be paid, and Stimulus Act funds that you would get paid. So we didn't really. No, it hasn't been the case as of today.
We went to HWI's headquarters, and a spokesman tells Target 11 financial problems have forced them to shut down. Quote, due to the weak economy and other circumstances out of our control, we are financially distressed. We regret any negative impact that our insolvency has caused to other local businesses. We took our findings to Congressman Tim Murphy, who says he now wants to know what the Department of Energy knew about HWI Global.
And the question is, at what point is the federal government responsible and not responsible, and how much due diligence they do along the way?
We also contacted the federal agency that monitors stimulus funding, and they too have now launched an investigation. Meanwhile, PowerX is caught in the middle, telling Target 11 they worked hard to ensure grant money has been spent prudently. That's not good enough for the 4 subcontractors who have now filed liens against PowerX in an attempt to collect their money.
Well, it's actually impacted me to where I've had to let employees go.
So in essence, this stimulus project that was supposed to create jobs has eliminated jobs here.
Yeah, yes.
Now, one of the contractors tells me PowerX offered to settle up by offering them half of what they are owed. The contractors tell me that is frankly unacceptable, and they plan to fight this in court. They continue fighting this in court. Meanwhile, the feds want to know what happened to that money. We will keep you posted on the investigation. Reporting live downtown, Rick Earl, Channel 11 News. If the money isn't used by next September, it must be returned to the federal government. So we wanted to know what's the holdup. And why hasn't some of this stimulus cash been spent yet? The city of Sharon got a $200,000 stimulus grant to hire 2 new police officers 3 years ago. There was $200,000 out there the feds were going to give you, and you guys said no.
Yeah, the city of Sharon, passed on that.
The city turned it down because they couldn't afford it. The grant required them to keep the officers even after the funding ended.
It was a tough decision for the city to make because, there's a carrot of federal funding, to add additional staff that's needed.
The government's own stimulus tracking website still lists the project as not started. We found 59 projects in PA worth $71 million that haven't been started. Or have they? When we began questioning the projects in our area, we discovered some of them, like this bridge rehabilitation in Brownsville. And this lock and dam improvement on the Mon River were actually finished months ago. A contract with a medical research company in RIDC Park should wrap up this month. But we also found grants for a new police officer in Aliquippa and improvements to a community health center in New Kensington that haven't been started. Aliquippa says it didn't get enough qualified applicants yet, and the health center is waiting for the landlord to sign off.
Government is big, government is inefficient, so it shouldn't surprise anyone that we're having so much difficulty tracking this money and that so much of it hasn't been spent.
Also listed as not started, a multi-million-dollar sewer project in Fayette County. It finally got underway this past summer, 3 years after the money was approved, and to the surprise of some residents.
Nobody's ever told us anything.
Really?
No one's told us to think about it.
Josephine Kennedy isn't happy about her stimulus tax dollars paying for a pipe right through her yard.
It's definitely an eyesore. It reduced my property value, and it's a liability, so I don't like it.
And there's even more confusion about the sewer project. According to the stimulus website, it will provide service to 500 homes. But a township supervisor tells me it's more like 225.
It's interesting that there's so little accountability in these sorts of programs when you have the government constantly looking at the private sector and demanding more accountability.
Now, a spokesman for recovery.gov said some of the online information just hadn't been updated on that website, but he said in other cases, recipients failed to file updated reports, leading to some of that inaccurate information. Rick Earl, Channel 11 News.